Greetings, friends. It's an honor once again to welcome you back to Rick's Garage. What I have for you today are a couple of old toolboxes where I throw a lot of my extra and obsolete wrenches, sockets, and things like that. When you collect tools like I have over many, many years, it's inevitable that sometimes pieces are going to get lost to your various sets. Now, the general rule of thumb that I've used over the years, if you have a set of sockets or wrenches or whatever it may be, if you're missing one or two pieces, then it's probably worthwhile to go out and buy the individual sockets or wrenches. If you've got three pieces missing, it's kind of touch and go. You'll have to price them out, decide whether it's cheaper to buy the three pieces or buy a whole new set. But most certainly, if you're missing four pieces or more, it's much more cost effective just to replace the set. And that's what I've done over the years. If I get where I'm missing 3-4 pieces or more, I'll just buy another set and throw the extra pieces, the leftover parts, in here. So that's what you see here. A lot of obsolete tools, a lot of duplicates. These right here are from the very first tools I ever bought in my life. These wrenches are what remains of the very first wrench set I ever bought as a young teenager. I bought this set at the old Benny's Home and Auto store in the 1960s. This happens to be from the very first socket set I ever bought. And there's a funny story about that. I learned a lesson very quickly about lending out tools. This was a very nice socket set. It came in a case, it had all the sizes, had a little ratchet that came with it, an extension. And a friend of mine asked to borrow it. So, not knowing any better, I let him have it, and he kept it for a couple of months. Finally, I asked for it back, and when I got it back, half the pieces were missing. It was horrible. I was very upset. So that was my first encounter in lending out a tool. Now these two sockets right here was the very first set I purchased when I started my own shop in the 1970s. These are Cornwells. The Cornwell truck came around and I purchased this set. And there's a few more pieces than this remaining. All these wound up in my extra sockets and extra wrench set. Now, the nice thing about keeping the old sockets hanging around and obsolete tools hanging around is if you happen to lose a socket from your good set, you've got, perhaps you might have one in here that you can replace it with without having to go out and buy one. And the other thing is, quite often, as you work on cars over the years, you'll find that you'll have to modify a tool from time to time in a tight area. You might have to take a socket and you might have to grind it down to make it a little thinner so you can get into an area. And as I do this, I save these tools. I've got a drawer over here I want to show you. As you can see here in my toolbox, I've got a drawer labeled Special and Modified Tools. Let's open it up and I'll show you what's in there. So what you have here is a variety of wrenches that I've had to cut off for some reason or another. This particular wrench I used to change the shock on a Ram pickup. You can't get in there with a wrench, a full-size wrench. So you put this on it and then it spins around, catches on the body, and you can get it off. So there's a bunch of old tools that I've cut off over the years for various reasons. There's a spanner wrench that I made a number of years ago to hold a clutch fan in place. Made that myself. There's another one. Keep banging the camera, I apologize. There's another one in here, a special spanner wrench that I made for holding a clutch fan. Here's a wrench, 2 wrenches that I welded together. So there's a lot of tools that I've modified over the years here that I keep in this drawer. Now here's like a special screwdriver. I put a little groove in it for working with spring clips. Here's another old screwdriver I modified. You can see there's a little notch there for pressing things in and having it not slip off a clip. So there's another little screwdriver with a notch in it. This is another interesting tool I made. It's got a little hook on the end of a long handle, and it's good for pulling on springs, like if you're working on drum brakes. So it's good to have all these special tools that you make for various reasons. Half of these I don't even remember what they're for, but I saved them anyway. I just wanted to explain to you that if you are someone like myself that are interested in collecting tools, that it's good to save the old obsolete tools or the extra tools. You never know when you might need to modify something, and you don't certainly want to take one of your good socket sets and go grinding on them. Now, people often ask me, how did I come by all these tools? Well, it's a lifetime. Like I said earlier in the video, I bought my first tool in the early 1960s as a teenager, and I've been buying tools ever since. So it's inevitable from time to time, if you own socket sets and wrench sets, that pieces are going to get lost. And remember that rule of thumb, that if you're losing 2 or 3 pieces, it's probably cheaper just to buy the pieces that are missing individually. But 3 or 4 pieces, you might want to just rebuy the whole set and then throw your duplicates in an old toolbox and save them. You never know when you might need to modify a tool, or you might lose one of your tools and you can replace it with one of these. So that's all I've really got here at Rick's Garage. It's just kind of a silly little video about tools, modifying tools, and having a toolbox where you keep all your extra tools and obsolete tools you don't use anymore. So thanks again for watching Rick's Garage. Before I go, I will post 2 videos to your left. Feel free to click on one or the other should you find them of interest. And to your right will be a picture of my avatar in the form of my trusty German Shepherd. He's 8 years old now. Feel free to click on him if you wish to subscribe. So thanks again for watching, and we hope to see you all again very, very soon.